Okay, it is turn 33 of Hubris, and the sleeping giants, the sleeping giant that was Helheim is asleep no more. We got a message from Hinnom. What are the giants plotting? Helheim broke our nap 3 at the best possible time, right before I was going to break my nap with another player. I assume he means end nap at this point. It would be very odd to be planning a nap break. Anyway, had they waited another turn, I would be fighting this war on 2 fronts. I'm sure they have squads of Vanjarls and Hellherdings and all manner of other elvish things within my provinces. It's probably a safe assumption. I assume their presence there is what prompted you to reach out to me and inquire about what's happening with the Giants. Actually, it's not. I did not know they were there. I'd asked the Giants what they were doing just because they seemed neutral. I hope that I can drag this war out as long as possible. Consider that a victory even if I lose. I've utilized Melquarts with Shade Mails and, if the Pantocrator wills it, Black Hearts. Other players are intimidated with Helheim and have expressed their willingness to attack them, hopefully sooner rather than later, because even if I survive, if I do not grow as a result of this war, I'm just as much out of the race for winning the game as I was before the war. True. It's very possible the Elves, with Elves to lose immediately against them, it's possible I already lost when you received this message. If that's the case, it's been a fun experience and I learned a lot of things, mainly that blood magic is nowhere near as good in EA due to lower population counts. This is not entirely true, because there's a multiplier in the early era that means you get more blood slaves. The difference is, well, there's 2 differences. The first is there aren't as many high population provinces in which you can establish a hunt to begin with, so it's harder to find hunt provinces in the early age, even if the yields are higher. The second thing is the yields for gems are a lot lower in the late age compared to the early age, so the relative power of blood compared to gem magic is higher in the late age. I definitely think the late age favors blood more, but blood is super powerful no matter what age you're in. So, as a result, we can see that Helheim has launched the classic elfing attack on Hinnom. So here we are, the big elvish stealth series attack, quite deep into Hinnom's territory. So we've got Vanjarls, 3 Vanjarls operating together. Let's just check if they're thugged, or whether these are Vanjarls that are operating. Yep, okay, so we've got Flesh Eater and Chainmail Displacement, so defense 1. That's a Blood Slave. Not thugged. Can't click on them for the life of me. Not thugged, but carrying 2 Astral Pearls. Okay. But one of them is thugged. So, and Vanjarls are stronger than Van Hersers anyway, so 3 Vanjarls here. Here we've got an actual army of 300 54 Hellherdings, 9 Valkyries, 25 summoned Whites, and some Crystal Priestesses and 8 Crystal Sorceresses. So this would be a communion, a significant communion, in fact. So this is quite a powerful army. Really quite a powerful army. Let's just check the leading Hangdrotir. So Death 3, Air 3. Such a powerful mage. This one's Death 4, Air 3 with Skull Staff, but no gems. Death 3, Air 3. The Hungerdrot is such a good mage. Expensive as heck, but Air 3, Death 3, just such a combo. Such a combo. Anyway, Communion Slave, and then, what is this? Oh, yeah, Thunder Strikes. Bring the rain. Okay, so that's ugly. That's a strong army there. A Vanjarl here raiding 2 Dis, which are the female flying. You need to not forget these as Helheim. 28 map move flying leaders is fantastic. The Hangdrotning, this is a hero. Sorry. Hangdrotning. I'm probably getting that wrong anyway. This is a female Hangdrot. Hero Sigdriva. For one of the first Vanir. Okay, interesting story. I haven't seen this hero before, but still, 28 map move, stealthy, obviously. Death 4 A3 native. Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. So what they've done here is built a fully flying raiding force. You've got high movement flying Valkyries. They paired them up with 24 independent Pegasus riders, and they've got some very strong Death Air mages leading them. So they've got this. So we've got a strong flying army here. This is a slow static army. Raiders, and then okay. So this is Hinnom's army trying to get back home, and instead it's run straight into, this is the main army of Helheim. This This is a long line of blessed, very veteran, and don't dismiss the veterancy stars, very veteran Hellherdings. Magic weapons, precision, shock resistance, fire resistance, bar skin, and of course the fire resistance offsets the bar skin, so you've got 18 protection, which is pretty decent. Still not amazing against 21 damage giants, but a lot better than it would be if they didn't have that. Backed up by some Thunderstrike casting mages. Air 4, Death 3, Death 2 with the staff. Whole bunch of good mages around the place. This is a strong force that has come out of nowhere. You can see the evidence of Helheim's economy, but they're not going to need it. What's going to happen is the Hellhoundings are just going to tear this up, no problem, because they've got numbers, they've got the wrap. They're not going to face enough attacks to be harassed down. There's nothing there to break glamour. That's ouch. 5 army, an Aviat chariot, and 60 Aviim swordsmen. The loss was 10 Hellhoundings. That's not a nothing loss, but considering what you destroyed in return, that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, that's still 650 gold and 1 and a bit cap turns, but wiping out all that, very, very well worth it. So, Helheim has made a move. They've made a move against Hinnom. They've occupied about a third of Hinnom's territory. Importantly, what will now happen is Hinnom will get a chance to respond. And the key when you're elf like this is first of all, don't panic. Don't panic. The second thing is think about what you've got that can break down what they're bringing at you. I'm thinking the response here has got to be, and he's already mentioned in his message, the response here has got to be kitting out Melquarts and using them. It's got to be using Melquarts to kill the armies, preferably, or at least drive off the armies, and then potentially kill some of the raiders as well. You're gonna have to SC this. You don't have an option to kill this with Hinnom's army. This is not Bless Hinnom. You don't have really amazing Rephite warriors. The other thing you need is things that can pop and deal with glamour. You can see he is recruiting a whole bunch of Horite hunters. This is a unit you do not see very often, but against the elves, what he's presumably trying to do here, if we look at the Horite hunter, is presumably use the net. Presumably. But I don't think the net's going to hit reliably enough for that to work. So anyway, the fiery imps, maybe there's lots of attacks there, but I think this is mostly going to be about thugging. Let's step away from the battle strategy though, because the real strategy here is you don't need to kill Helheim probably. In fact, you probably don't even need to badly hurt Helheim. You need to not die to Helheim and then beat one army. If you can survive, everyone on this map is going to be scared of Helheim right now. No one on this map who has any sense of situational awareness is going to be at all satisfied with the fact that the most powerful nation in the game on paper is also the largest, has the largest economy, and is smacking someone up without response. If he's allowed to do that, he's going to be basically unstoppable. So people will want to come in and fight Helheim, but they also won't want to lose. So if Hinnom is proving that Helheim can bleed, other people are going to come in with syringes and start drawing blood for their own. So all Hinnom really needs to do is don't lose too many forces, and preferably don't lose too many forts. Husband yourself up. Survive, maybe inflict a little bit of damage on Helheim, get allies in, and then make sure that as Helheim buckles under multiple allied attacks, Hinnom needs to capture as much territory as possible there to make up for lost time. Otherwise, he's absolutely correct, or they're absolutely correct. If they don't grow as a result of this war, especially after they take these initial losses, and there will be further losses, the elves are not done yet, their hope basically fades. So that's Hinnom, and that's a lot of these battles that we've covered this turn. Then there's another front. There's the Sauromatian front, and Sauromatia is fighting a lot of people at once. So let's just check out these battles here. Sauromatia tried to raid Agartha there. It failed. Agartha took that province back. Agartha has brought their god and a bunch of great olms up, so Agartha just reclaiming territory that Sauromatia has raided. That old salient is now gone. The one remaining Sauromatian raiding force is now here. This time the Stone Hurlers only killed 2 of the Oroparta. This looks like a possible route from all the PD dying, who knows. Probably a failed morale check, because not all the Ancient Stone Hurlers died, and if this had failed outright, you'd expect the Oroparta will have killed them. But still, now this is 1 Warrior Sorceress and 2 Oroparta. Its days are numbered. They're surrounded by Agarthan forces. They're just going to get swarmed, they're going to be killed, and these provinces will be reclaimed by Agartha pretty shortly. I would put money on it. Over here, Sauromatia bouncing off Pangaea. We've got war elephants being deployed here, actually. But clearly failing morale, because the forces of Pangaea, despite taking lots of damage to their wolves, their chaff, manages to win the day. Pangaea attacked. Okay, Pangaea spreading out. Using all these wolves is a bit weird. Like, I wouldn't think to be using wolves in combat, but I guess against really limited amounts of PD, large enough numbers of wolves, sure, I'm just surprised more than anything that the wolves are being used that way. This is the main Pangaean army. It's smacked straight into an army, well, not an army, a small raiding force of Sauromatians. All the losses here are basically main ads or junk. There was 1 White Centaur lost. This is 102 White Centaur. Like, it's going to run over a lot of things. And Sauromatia's capital is now in sight. The question is, will Sauromatia take their main army back to the capital to fend off the White Centaurs? Up till now, Sauromatia's mostly been beating on Yomi, which their main army did this turn. So what do we got? We got 20 Oroparta. We got 19 chieftains, 5 Inari, the Partholonian Sorceress, 2 Spirit Guides, 4 Warrior Sorceresses, 4... There's a lot of mages and a lot of commanders here. Like, a lot of commanders. 19 commanders of that one class. Jeez, okay. We'll see if they go back home to defend this turn. Yomi didn't really do anything other than countering the 1 deep penetration Sauromatian party. Was there 1 or 2? Yeah, there was just 1. So they retook the province that was raided with this Dione, finally a worthy opponent, and they moved Oni in, like a pile of Oni in, to counter the Oroparta over here with 1 Dione, which appears to have worked. 4 Oroparta and a Warrior Sorceress down. So Yomi has stopped their bleeding, they've stabilized their front, and now I think Sauromatia is going to have to fight off Pangaea if Pangaea is coming for their capital. All good. On the other front, because that event list is huge, it's better to just look at the fights. Over here, what have we got? Okay, and Beretos itself is under siege. So, Beretos looks like they tried to break the siege of Mecone, and these armies didn't arrive because they had battles along the way, I presume. So, Beretos attacked, and Mecone won the day, and most of the Meconian casualties here are among the sappers. Okay, so the Mason and the sappers died. That's probably pissing GC off a little bit, because 20 sappers and the Master Mason would have knocked a lot off these off the wall integrity, as in it would have been a lot faster to knock it down. It's going to be a lot slower, but still, that's still a Beretos which is under siege and is denied a capital recruitment round and is very starved for income. The diversion battles. GC continuing. I've watched GC stream Battle Brothers, and he complains about how employers don't value the lives of mercenaries. This is GC sacrificing mercenaries straight off. That's 2 mercenary captains, Longbowmen and Spearmen, both being thrown away just basically to delay Beretos. And then Ulm, I think, did the same sort of thing. That's a lot of Axe Warriors being wiped out. Let's just quickly see them get wiped out. I'm not liking the sparse line formation. And here comes some air elementals. Well, that's all she wrote. Because by the time the Axe Warriors have done anything to the air elementals, it's time for the other units to arrive and clean up. Done. Boom. Fantastic. And over here, what was this? Beratos attacked. Okay, just took back from Meconian PD. So there you go. I don't think this is enough. In fact, I think this force is now in a very dangerous place. If I'm GC, I'm probably retreating to this province and uniting up here, because I probably cannot beat this squad right here. I'd check if it has any gems left, but even if it doesn't, it's probably strong enough to resist, which is unfortunate, because as GC I would always like to sit on my enemy's capital if I can. This attritional war has Beratos winning battles, wiping out enemy forces, but you can see there's just a constant stream of stuff flowing in from this quite large, this quite bulky Meconian empire, which is providing GC the resources, and even Ulm, his supporting act Ulm, has a decent grip of territory and can absolutely afford to just pour reinforcements in after those losses. I mean, there's 200 units right here, ready to replace those, and of course the Thrice Horned Boar is there as well. No clear counters from anyone to Beritian Air Elemental work, but, you know, eventually numbers will tell. Eventually numbers will tell. As you expect, they will eventually happen over here. And on Xibalba, the number that you need to care about is 192 unrest. Xibalba is at 192 unrest, as the bats basically just act like it's Mad Max in the tunnels, and are presumably just rounding up every human female they can find in the desperate hopes of being able to defend themselves. For the moment, these Fire Shield Basalt Kings are perfectly able to lock down the fortress, but unless troops come in to break the fort, that's all he will do, lock it down. For my part, I probably want to take Xibalba sooner rather than later, patrol it, get the province back on track and contributing to make up for the incredible loss of SCs and recruitment. We're still only seeing 20 units in the Atlantean capital. I'm not seeing units being recruited out of their other forts, really. Oh, there's some down here. I just think Atlantis needs more units. They need more stuff to augment the super combatant strategy. And that, I think, is most of the turn. Yep. So we've gone over the major battles. The key thing for this turn, obviously, is this Helheim intervention. The next few turns will be critical. Hinnom needs to protect their armies as best as possible. They need to show that they have a little bit of counter-raiding capacity, i.e. they can keep Helheim off-center just enough to avoid them feeling super confident and in complete control of the situation. Just have a little bit of an initiative contest. And they also need to prove they've got at least some ability to use SCs or heavy thugs in order to deal with what Helheim's throwing at them, because the Hinnomite army will definitely not deal with 54 Hell Herdings over here, or, you know, the 48 over here, backed up by evocations. This is a very powerful attack. It lacks for siege strength in some cases, but in terms of territory control, these are a couple of really powerful task groups supported by some raiders. I'm surprised there aren't more raiders. That said, they might have been discouraged by the fact that there are Melquarts already out and about. That's turn 33. I'm really excited to see what happens in turn 34, because I'm interested in this war, so we'll be back with that one soon. Alright, turn 34. Broken 25 is letting us know that since turn 31, he has been subbing in for Beratos, handling the last stand. Broken, you are doing a fine job, good sir, fine job. Basalt Queen has claimed Throne of Fortune, that's always handy. Diaport, a global enchantment from Yomi. End of culture. Now hold on. Hold up here a moment. Because I haven't been paying Yomi proper attention in the last couple of turns, mostly because their front has been pretty stable. But let's keep in mind, Yomi eaten Femoria, like, comprehensively. They've got a good grip of territory. They didn't get TNN's capital, but they got a good grip of TNN itself. So Yomi, in terms of size, is up there. Where are they on the province list? Okay, so they've been pushed back a little bit, but they're still in that third, fourth. They're tied with Makoni in terms of territory. They're still like poor, but Yomi is meant to be poor. They're still researching. Oh, it's in the middle, but they're meant to not be great. But what I'm interested in now is Yomi's army. Yomi's free spawn are not particularly numerous, but they're very good compared to most free spawn in the game. I've had this discussion with Herdalas, and after spending some time in the mod inspector, I agree. I've come to the conclusion that Yomi free spawn, as far as free spawn go, are bloody good. Like, bloody good. End of Culture doubles the spawns, and importantly, it doubles the spawns without inflicting any additional sort of cost on you. The price you pay for Yomi spawns is you have to build a temple, and then you have to endure the shitty scales that puts there. But once the scales are there, doubling the rate of spawn doesn't cause any additional infrastructure cost. And you can see Herdalas has templed. Temple. He has templed everything. Like, everything he can get away with. Oh my. And his dominion is sky high. So, with his dominion spreading, the key is now, will the spawn rate start going critical? Will Yomi start generating numbers that we more traditionally associate with pop kill nations, even though they are not pop kill? They're going to have trouble with unrest if they do that, because the tides of Oni that they are creating will cause unrest and nuke their gold income, so they need to shuffle them out of their income provinces as quickly as possible. But this is a possible transition, right? So he won his first wars. His first wars were won on the back of the Dai Oni's blades. He went in there with blessed, powerful, early game SCs, and then he finished the wars right before people would start deploying counters to them, holy scourges and stuff like that. He needs a transition plan. The transition plan is very clearly, if you've pushed early Gift of Culture, End of Culture, is transition into Oni spam. Tides and tides and tides of Oni, and then if you can stack just a couple of buffs behind them and use the Dione in supporting role, then suddenly you've got a plan for your next war. So I'm really glad that global is going up, and it means that we need to make sure we don't forget Yomi as all the other wars are going on. That's a very important buff for them. It's also, I like it diplomatically as a global because it's not a global that is so threatening that everyone else feels the need to attack you over it. It's not a global people feel the need to take you down or dispel. It's not worth a dispel for most people, and you can't overcast it because no one else has got the bloody spell. It's not Arcane Nexus. It's not Gift of Nature's Bounty. It's not one of those ones where people panic, but it's good enough to give you a real advantage. So, good play, Yomi. Good play. Let's go look at the Helheim Hinnom War, and you can see, Hinnom is a tad smaller than it was before. So, battles. Helheim attacked Hinnom. So this army came here and took this province. The main non-flying army came in here and bounced off. Oh, he won, but he didn't kill the defender. Okay, so the defender must have ran. And the defender is 1 Melquart. Losses 12 Hell Herdings and 7 Whites for no loss of Hinnom. Let's have a look at this. Ooh, okay, we got a Storm Staff, because we got Storm up turn 1. Okay, that's a huge boost. Meanwhile, this guy is... Oh, okay, he's ready for shock. He's shock resistant 40. Storm Swool, Burning Pool, Copper Plate, Dragon Helmet, Vine Shield, and the Stinger. This is not a particularly advanced kit. This is a low-tech kit. There's no Construction 6 here. The Stinger is just so you have a length 4 weapon, I presume. The Vine Shield and the Shock Resistance should keep him going. He is an Earth 2, Blood 3. He's got a Support Mage behind him who has now put Regeneration and is running and will retreat successfully inside the fortress. So now what have we got? We've got someone who is 27 Protection, who is regenerating 8 9 hit points per turn, who has 22 attack and 17 defense, which is enough to hit. You'll hit the Sacred some of the time. Reinvigoration 8 will always be fatigue neutral. Resistant to fire and shock, which are, well, the magic that we're facing here is shock, and has a fear aura. I'm surprised that he routes instead of them. The weakness here is 27 prop might not be quite enough, but you can see he's repelling some attacks. He'll stay fatigue neutral. Oh, he's getting smited. He's MR20, but, like, there's a limit to what that can accomplish. So he's doing a lot of repels. Unfortunately, he's now spending his time stabbing skeletons as they fill in this front slot, whereas he really wants to be stabbing sacreds. The idea, though, is eventually you'd hope that the Fear Aura would rout off a lot of these guys. It won't rout the whites. Well, it might rout everything off. I'm surprised it didn't. Enough needs to rout here for him to escape. So what's going to have to happen is it's going to go... So I think what's going to happen is this hasn't worked fast enough. I mean, some of these guys are routed, and some of them aren't. So what's going to happen is it's going to turn timer, he's going to go on retreat as well, and he's going to get off the map first. That's what's going to happen. Because they can't kill him. There's nothing there that can kill him. So he takes his pound of flesh, in the form of 12 sacreds and 7 of the whites, makes his point, and then retreats inside the fortress. And noting, he can come out again next turn. Absolutely. No reason he can't. Unless he fears there'll be a counter immediately available, but you can't just sit and be worried about that. So that's a trial run. Then it looks like we've got 2 Melquarts out here doing a little bit of counter raiding behind the lines. Interesting. I'm surprised they're deploying behind the lines rather than engaging the enemy. Let's just see their kit. Flesh Eater, Lightning Spear, Dragon Helmet, Shade... so these are the stealthy ones. Shade Mail, Ranger's Boots, Storm Spool. So these are stealthy Melquarts, which means they... So the reason you would do stealthy Melquarts is because this way the enemy can't do what Helheim would normally want to do immediately, which is build some counter thugs and airdrop these guys. That's how you would normally deal with raiding Melquarts. You'd hit them with a hit squad of Helheim thugs with a bunch of kit designed specifically to kill them. You'd airdrop them, magic phase them, and wipe them out. But these Melquarts can easily go stealth phase right now. They don't have to worry about being cut off. They just stealth move, and that's it. They're safe, and then they reappear somewhere else next turn and take 2 more provinces. It's a way to resist. It's not super efficient or fast because you're only claiming 1 province every 2 turns. Or you can fool him by not stealthing, but by that point, he has to be airdropping you every turn just in case you don't stealth. And then he doesn't have labs there, so he's wasting mage turns and gear and all sorts of stuff. This is an efficient mechanism for resistance. You've got SCs in forts. You've got guys out here doing raiding. It's solid. It's still not great because, as you can see on net, Helheim took more territory than Hinnom took back, but Hinnom didn't lose any troops this turn, or any mages. This turn was all about losses for Helheim in exchange for Helheim taking a little more territory. That's the sort of situation that you're okay being in for a turn or 2 as Hinnom if you're confident you can get help soon. Let's go look at this war, then we'll go look at the Eastern War. So, this turn, all moved on to Uzra Yazran. There was no resistance. Makoni did exactly what I suggested he should do. He consolidated his army into the Bonelands because he didn't want to fight on the capital, and now he's probably going to wait until he's got something that can counter this force. But again, Beratos is now in his cap. This province is snowing. He's going to need to come here and knock Orm off. Orm, unfortunately for them, did not bring enough siege power to knock this fortification. It's 500 wall strength. It was very unlikely. Knock it down in one turn. But if they had, they would have been able to storm it before the army could get back. But there you go. The brave Beridians are still on life support. Not quite as desperate as the 191 unrest Xibalbans. I mean, I'm seeing 31 income on their cap, but yeah. 3 Basalt Kings, by the way, standing guard outside, but no intention of actually storming in, it seems. Let's have a look at this war over here. Okay. I really hope that was diplomatic, because that's 1 Basalt King took a province from Yomi. Let's assume that's diplomacy until we're told otherwise. Otherwise, it's the weirdest attack ever. Sauromatia attacked Yomi with this tiny Oroparta squad and actually won. So they're still surviving, still going on. As Yomi, I'd be worried that he's going to come down here and burn down my temple now. I'd actually be a little bit frustrated about that. I might have to split my army to defend my temples, because that's what I want to defend. I want to defend my temples. Agartha, again, just wiping out what's left of the Sauromatian raiding forces in their lands, while also expanding at the same time. Bit of a style move, expanding while your enemy is attacking you, or rather while you're attacking someone, which is interestingly puts him right in proximity to this province here. But I don't see any reason for him to move in. He's probably just going to take his god north and finish off Sauromatia. Speaking of Sauromatia, Sauromatia is now under siege. Wow, okay, this is a bloodletting. So, we'll have a look at the battle quickly in a moment, but oof. Okay, well, let's look at Sauromatia first. Sauromatia loses all 18 chieftains, 6 Inaris, all these random commanders, their hero, spirit guides, sorceresses, witch kings. Huge. This is a Sauromatian mage corps wiped out. I mean, witch kings are 390 gold, and 5 of them just died. 18 lancers, 35 Oroparta, 8 war elephants. This is a wipeout. Sauromatia will have raiders left, but this is a crushing, breaking blow. However, Pangaea didn't get off scot-free. The cost for Pangaea is this 46 White Centaur, half of the White Centaurs. Now, that may be less of a problem at this stage of the game, but White Centaur are always useful to Pangaea. Always. With these classic larger... These are zoom, super fast ones. Defense skill, blood surge, poison resistance, magic resistance. The poison I always like poison resistance, because anything that makes your nation safe to use foul vapors is fine by me. They zoom around, and they're going to go for the backstab. The problem is, this backstab's actually going to work against you if the enemy has this many troops. So just observation for a moment. The long line that's trying to wrap, which means they're on attack rear, rather than attack closest, means that if the enemy has so many troops in the back, as Sauromatia does, part of your force is going to get caught on the enemy army and fight them fairly, which is what's happening here. The Oroparta, the Sauromatian Oroparta and Lancers don't give a shit. They have charged. This is a head-on... This would be a fantastic movie scene, right? Because this is a head-on clash of heavy cavalry right into each other. Well, cavalry and centaurs, which are tactically they're cavalry. And then normally the Pangaean force extends behind and stabs the commanders, but there's so many Sauromatians here that I'm willing to bet it's these White Centaurs that are going to suffer all the losses, because they're the ones that are getting isolated and surrounded. And all of these chieftains at the back, like, I was confused about their purpose, and I'm still confused about their purpose, but they're the ones that are going to fight these White Centaurs. Because in this area here, the Centaurs are winning, but you can see that group of White Centaurs is wiped out. This group here is being worn down by all the junk that it had. Yeah, they're long dead. It's been killed by Soulless and long dead. That Minotaur almost got through. This is the Mage Corps in the middle. Vulnerable, squishy Mage Corps. And you see, not quite enough skeletons. Nowhere near enough skeletons, in fact, but still. So this is a serious victory for Pangaea, but one quite expensive. Not relative to what he killed of his opponent, but he's already probably thinking about the next war and the war beyond that. And you never smile on a day where you lose 50 cap-only sacreds, let alone ones as I suppose famous, but also game-defining as the White Centaur can be. Pangaea is at the stage of the game now where a lot of other tools should be coming online, more than just White Centaur spam. But if he's going to go headfirst into Helheim, which is, like, make no mistake, the move for Pangaea is finish this war, move your junk west, and sweep in this long border of Helheim as all of his stuff is now fighting Hinnom. Sweep west, go conquer Elf the Elf, essentially. That's the move, and White Centaurs are handy there because they give you a tool that can at least stand up to Hellherdings in a relatively fair way, and then it's your tools versus their tools to multiply the efficacy of that force. So there you go. Pangaea did go for the capital. Sauromatia did consolidate. They did fight, and they did lose. So Sauromatia is probably... in fact, I'll go beyond probably. They're pretty damn checkmate at this point. They can keep raiding. They can be troublesome for some people, but Yomi's probably going to take this province. You know, all the good it is with its 81 unrest. Well, it does have a Windspire. The rest of these provinces will slowly get cleaned up. Agartha clearly has their eye on 172, the final fort. I think Sauromatia is not long for this world. In fact, I would bet, based on the complete absence of siege strength over here, I think Xibalba is going to resist longer than Sauromatia, which is pretty sad when you think about it. In terms of other moves, I'm not seeing what Relay has got planned. I'm noticing a lot of Relayan troops, including like slave trolls and their hero, the He Who Breathes, Turkul, on land at 189, which is confusing me. What's your plan here? Is your plan to attack Yomi? Is your plan to try and scavenge some more? If I was Relay, with all the bleeding from Atlantis, I'd be preparing the mother of all offensives into Atlantis, is basically where I'd be at, because, especially since Relay continues to absolutely dominate Atlantis in the research game. Like, dominate them. Macone is third, Ulm is second, Helheim somewhere in the middle. So they don't have their completely game-breaking stuff yet, although we're seeing Thunder Strike from Helheim, which means, and we're at turn 30-something, so yeah, we should be expecting Evo 6 and Wailing Winds. We should be expecting Wailing Winds in every major battle, if not immediately, then at the very least soon. It's such an oppressive spell. It's on his research path anyway. He's gone Evo Helheim. If I ever do a nation guide on Helheim, I will talk about how oppressive that spell is in the context of how Helheim can fight its wars. It's oppressive. So they're in a good spot. Atlantis is not in a good spot. Atlantis are not in a good spot by most measures. They've recovered their gem income. In fact, they've overtaken Relay on gem income. And their regular income is like nowhere near as good, but it's now decent. But the problem for Atlantis is this thing here. You need an army. You need something to break forts. You need something to hold territory. It can't all be super combatants. Even late age Phlegra, once they get their Laestrygonians, still uses armies to augment those. Lemuria uses its ghosts to augment all of its thugs. You don't tend to operate a nation solely on the back of super combatants or thugs. The army is important, and Atlantis just doesn't have one. Sauromatia's army has been crushed, destroyed, and is now down there. But Hinnom's army is significantly larger than both of theirs, and they've been attacked and pretty badly done over by Helheim, who also is apparently in a negative curve at the moment. Presumably that's their sacred losses. Interesting. Anyway, that's turn 34. Pretty sure that was turn 34. I will do a little bit of a check-in at turn 35, because I kind of want to do one more turn this session. Actually, scratch that. I've just had a quick sneak peek at turn 35, and having looked at 35 and 36, because I'm a couple of turns behind recording, I think a little bit of a longer episode next time, or maybe even a shorter one, but still, there's something that happens next turn that I don't want to have to talk about now. I want the focus of this to be on the Helheim's assault and this quite well-considered response by Hinnom in response to an aggressive elfing and an attack by some very powerful task forces. Other highlights: we now have End of Culture up. We have a Sauromatia that is basically checkmate. Their army is gone, their capital is under siege. But hey, you know, Xibalba's proven you don't need an army, and your capital can be under siege. That doesn't mean you're out. You stand as long as your capital is untaken. So good on them. And then Beratos fighting the good fight, resisting as much as they can, but at the end of the day, they are on life support. Their economy is dwarfed by their opponents, and eventually, I expect they will be overwhelmed. I'm looking for diplomatic updates on Helheim soon. Very interested to know, will Pangaea or Ulm agree to disengage here and attack Helheim? Will Pangaea say, as soon as I've killed Sauromatia, I'm going to turn around and join this war? I don't know those yet, but I'd be looking to see. And you can bet that all of them that are considering their options will be watching Hinnom and whether the Melquarts are able to resist and attrit the Elves. So, that was turn 34. I'll see you next time at turn 35.